was a tough game. They had a good game plan. It works well first half for them. But I'm glad that we managed to come back in the second half and win the game. Manager was good. His head was like going for us, but it's something you need some time for, because I think first half the game was sloppy and we just were slow and just taking our time. Then last minute they managed to win the game, but we now more experienced. We can manage that situation, and I'm glad that.
Right, Arsenal head to Old Trafford then, 16 points behind Liverpool after they came from behind to beat bottom of the table Southampton at Anfield. Arne Slot's side are now just 6 wins away from a record equalling 20th league title, and of course that equals the record with their arch rivals Manchester United. They're unbeaten in 25 league games now, Liverpool, and they did have to come from behind against Southampton, but did that win yesterday seem slightly inevitable?
Some of the fans were chanting after the game, excuse my voice, Arne Slot, Arne Slot, Arne Slot, 16 clear in second gear, Arne Slot.
OK. You did that really well, but well done.
They're right. They were in second gear that
yes,
first
they
half.
Were, certainly.
The work rate was criticised by Arne Slot, and he could spot it even from his place up in the director's box. He changed it like he always seems to, and they got the points. So I think it was significant because it's the beginning of an important run of games, which could be mentally significant, I think, for Liverpool. And you wouldn't really bet against them going the rest of the season winning maybe every game. And if they do that, we know that they have to give a guard of honour to Arsenal if they win the next 6, and if they win all the remaining games, they'll win the title on 97 points, with the significance of that number at Liverpool. So that might even be one of their targets.
Gosh, yeah, that's an interesting point, Gary, yeah. Look, Mo Salah, now the joint 5th highest scorer in Premier League history, alongside Sergio Aguero on 184 goals. Can there actually be, Darren, any doubt about them giving him a new deal? Or is this kind of as good as it gets? Can he get any better?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because the instinctive thing on the back of what he's done so far this season, a legacy season, 31 goals, 25 of them in the Premier League, 22 assists. He's been outstanding, even though, in a way, yesterday's game kind of, I don't want to say flattered him. He scored 2 goals, but there were 2 penalties. He wasn't as influential and impactful in the game as he has been. He did look a little bit leggy yesterday and in the PSG game the other day. I just think in terms of what happens with him, it's very interesting because it's reignited with all of the numbers taken care of now. It's reignited the debate as to whether he should stay. And Robbie Fowler is in the papers today saying, and I quote, "Do I believe Liverpool should give Mo Salah whatever he wants this summer? The obvious answer is yes. The simple reason is because if he was to leave, then he'd leave for nothing, and that means the club would have to spend £100 million or £150 million on a player not guaranteed to do as well. And then there's the wages." But here's the thing. Liverpool, as much as anybody, any club in the Premier League, they look at the numbers, the impact. They're not driven by sentiment. That's why this thing has lasted for so long.
Yeah.
And they tend to look at the numbers. Is he, as you say, at his peak? Could he maintain it? Could he sustain it? Could we see these numbers for another season? He's only ever gone up, hasn't he, since he's been at Liverpool? Or is this the plateau? And they're the questions that they will have to wrestle with on the inside. It's very easy for us to sit here and say, he's brilliant, give him what he wants. Otherwise, you've got to spend big money to get someone else. But you'll have to spend big money to keep him. So I think that it's really a question of which way you want to go.
He doesn't look like he's going to slow down anytime soon, does he? It's ridiculous, the form he's in at the moment.
There's really an interview, Slaven Bilic, who's had a couple of head coach roles in Saudi Arabia. First of all, he said no one really knows how close he came January window a year ago, so just over a year ago, to coming to Saudi Arabia. A lot of that apparently was to do with his relationship with Jurgen Klopp. He wanted out of the club because of the relationship with Jurgen Klopp. So that issue has been solved. But Bilic called him the best striker in the world, the best number 10 in the world, and the best winger in the world.
Goodness
and
me.
if you've got that already at your club, and maybe some people would agree with that, maybe not many would disagree, that you've got to do your utmost to keep the player there. Saudi Arabia, there'll be people maybe telling him, think about it carefully. Jordan Henderson came away from there. Others seem to be leaving as well. And I was wondering, in terms of him looking tired, Darren, it's Ramadan at the moment.
It is,
Obviously,
yeah.
he's a Muslim. Can't take on water during games if they're afternoon kickoffs. During training as well. I know it's not as hot as it gets in the summer, but even so, could that be a factor with him looking tired, do you think?
Well, listen, speaking to people who know far more than me, I think there are a number of examples of players that have actually done well. There was a UFC fighter last night who was able to win his bout. There was a player who came on for Swindon yesterday and scored a couple of goals to help them back into the game. He'd been fasting previously as well. So although it's a consideration, I think there are lots of examples of players who perform. You know, you think about Mazraoui last week for Manchester United, terrific against Fulham. There are lots of examples of players doing well during Ramadan because they adapt their bodies to be able to accommodate that.
Yeah, I mean, it must be difficult not to be able to take on the water. I know the food, fasting is quite a good thing, apparently. Not that I do it. But, you know, the water thing might be something that they think about. Darwin Núñez.
We had really good moments on the first half. We scored a goal, and then the second half they accelerate, and they were good. But I think the penalty, it was not the penalty, and then they changed the match.
And after the game, I spoke to the Liverpool head coach, Arne Slot. Arne, another victory, a little bit like midweek, and you had to change things at half-time, but you found a way, and that's very important, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. That's also a sign of a good team, that you can win in different ways. But in Paris, I had to change maybe because of tactics. Now I had to change because of work rate, and I don't think that has happened a lot this season. So it was a poor performance first half, not only in the way we played, but definitely also in the energy we brought.
How do you get those energy levels back at this stage of the season?
Now, the only good thing is about today that for the first 45 minutes, I don't think they ran at all. I exaggerated a bit, but they saved their energy. For me, that's not a good thing, because I believe that it's better to just go all in and just do to create habits, what I always talk about. But I also know that these players are capable of doing much, much, much better when it comes to performance, but also definitely in terms of work rate.
Darwin Núñez got his goal, of course, very important for him and the team, because it got you back in the game. He also made a difference in midweek. It must please you for him, and it'll give him a real lift after a tough spell for him.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult for him after the Villa game, where he missed a big chance, but during the week he was already important in providing the assist to Harvey Elliott. And the both of them were, again, important today, but you could see even the first few minutes after half-time that the energy was different. So Lucio immediately took on a 1v1, and that created the first goal for Darwin. And in the second goal, the lead up to that, you saw Ryan Gravenberch pushing up to win the second ball and not be 20 or 25 yards away from the situation. So the energy was completely different. And you know, everybody knows how much of quality players we have, but if you don't play with the right energy, it's everywhere around the world is going to be difficult, but especially in the Premier League, let alone if we play Paris Saint-Germain, because that's the most intense team we've faced so far.
You've got a 16-point lead now at the top of the table. Do you know when your next Premier League game is?
Yeah, I do
April.
know. Yeah, it's a long way. And I think, if I'm correct, Arsenal plays 3 games before we play the next one. So now it's 16, but it can be 7 if we face Everton in a few weeks.
OK, Arne, thank you very much. I'm very sorry that despite the fact that you have to sit in the stand, they don't then tell you can't do the post-match interview, so you have to put up with our questions. But congratulations on the victory.
Thank you, Gary.
Yes, another win for Liverpool. But you could tell from that interview that Arne Slot was clearly very unhappy with his team's first half performance.
They definitely got a rollicking at half-time.
Yeah.
He mentioned work rate, he mentioned energy. And I just want to show you the clips between the first half and the second half. So Szoboszlai and Jones in midfield, normally really energetic midfielders, but just look at the space Southampton was able to get into. I mean, they was dictating the game in that first half. I thought Fernandes was brilliant. But I just want you to look at the position of Diaz here. And he was in defensive positions when he couldn't hurt Southampton. No one was pressing the ball, no one's engaging, and a good opportunity for Southampton. The stark difference between the second half, to bring on McAllister, Elliott and Robertson. But look at the press, the intensity. This is the difference. And when people ask, why do you press, and whether it's in a mid-block, whether it's in a high block, it's to push the team back. So as we roll it on a little bit here, now Southampton are boxed in, which allows Diaz down that left-hand side to be in areas where he wants to be. You put him one-on-one in these situations, he can do anything. Whether he goes right, whether he goes left, OK, nothing came of it on that occasion. On the next clip, the exact same. Look at Diaz's position, high and wide, where he can hurt the opposition. Again, Southampton are boxed in. This time, he goes the other side. Down the line, and who does he get this for? Nunez. Really good finish. I mentioned Robertson before, and this is what can happen when you stretch your opposition. One ball over the top. He likes to run in behind, and this is where the penalty comes from. I just think that tactical tweak at half-time was brilliant. He's not afraid to make them changes, and for me, yeah, it's a clear penalty.
Yeah, you can tell Slot's got a ruthless side, though, can't you? Because all coaches, top coaches, need them when you do it.
Yeah, you need to. When you've got big people in the dressing room, you need someone who you're going to take the information off and respect that information. And Slot's got that from day one. Do you remember on the first game of the season, Quansah, he said he wasn't aggressive enough. Yeah. It took him off at half-time.
But that's a title-winning coach. That's someone who knows that it's not just good performances, it's consistently being at it and staying at it and never coming off it.
And plus, Joe, as well, for Liverpool, is that Darwin Nunez got his goal because it's been 4 months since he got one at Anfield. So he needed that.
Huge moment for him. You know, he's an emotional player. We can see that. And today was a big day for him. It was that one, you know, after the Lord Mayor's show, the effort that went into the game on Wednesday night. But this kind of summed up his Liverpool career, buzzing around. It's a half chance, yes, but doesn't really get his head over the top of the ball. First half, they're just looking, Liverpool are looking, they're on top. No idea what he's really trying to do there, whether he's scooping it. You can see the frustration in here, chasing Walker-Peters back. And we see on the replay, he's missed the ball. Luckily, he's missed the player, because that could have been a terrible, terrible incident at the end of the first half, 1-0 down and losing a player. Arne Slot's had a word. Diaz comes out firing. Nunez on the front foot.
Great movement there.
Oh, really good movement and a really good finish. And this is similar to the little chance that we had at the end of the first half, just getting in front of small bones.
Do you think that was a penalty? Yorich didn't. We do, don't we?
I 100% think it's a penalty. He's clumsily through the back of him. And in those, 3 or 4 minutes, the game's turned. Main man scores. He's never missing from there. Yeah. And when you win leagues, you remember him for those, not the misses.
Yeah, big moment. Salah doesn't miss too many penalties at the moment. I mean, we're going to put up a graphic and Alan will be quite happy because he's always at the top of this thing.
On it again.
Yeah, but Salah's moved up, and that's the interesting thing. Now he's he's level with your former teammate Sergio Aguero.
Great company.
Just 3 now behind Andrew Cole, and then can he chase down Rooney, Kane, and even Alan Shearer if he signs a new 4-year contract? Maybe.
It'd be nice if he does.
They're huge.
Well, I mean, Salah, we've talked about him so many times. It's just. He's breathtaking. Yeah. And why I say he's breathtaking, not because he has a great game all the time, but he scores. He's clinical and he punishes you all the time. I remember when I was at Fiorentina with him, he always said his dream was to play for Liverpool, and he's living out his dream now. So, and he's doing amazingly well.
Love that. Love that.
The table. Let's have a quick look at the top of the table. Let's have a quick look just to check that lead. 16 points now from Arsenal. I mean, it's hard to envisage them not winning from there. I mean, it's a done deal, but you know they could get a lot of points, get close to 100.
So strong, aren't they? And those moments when you know a difficult first half, they're managing to win game after game.
Yeah, absolutely. Just 1 point separated third place Nottingham Forest and fourth place.
A player that could provide, as I said before, a moment for them. All important. We see the emotion from Slot sat in the stands serving out his ban. And if you look closely on the right-hand side of this graphic, you can see Slot there screaming his elation because that breakthrough that he was able to produce, Darwin, yesterday, that was channeling his anger and frustration in the right way. And as Dunny says, look, Slot might be congratulating himself for sticking with Nunez, or rather he should congratulate himself for sticking with Nunez, because having lost the plot, to be able to get into his head and to help him to stay focused enough to change the game was a moment of genius.
It's been an interesting week. We've heard a lot from Slot, obviously, when they played midweek. We hear them from him twice. And he was talking about PSG and said, you know, channeled his inner Michael Jordan, saying that actually if you create your own luck kind of thing against PSG. He said they were very lucky. They've got, obviously, he also described the 3 finals. He called Southampton a final, he called this next game against PSG a final, and of course they do have a final coming up in the Carabao Cup. Will they have to raise their levels? Will they have to find more than what they showed in that first half?
Well, the injury problems aren't really there this season, are they, compared to last season? I think they're going to win those 3 finals. They've won one of them already. I don't know, it's a bit of a stretch to call Southampton at home a final, but I guess...
I like this, but like, I actually can see why he did it. I can, only because sometimes we come on shows like and we're really diplomatic about the prospects of a team in a game. But I remember earlier this season when Liverpool played an absolutely horrendous Manchester United side, and everyone expected it to be 4s and 5s and 6s, and United were terrific on the day, and they really did defy the odds, quite literally. And so I just think that what Slot wanted to do is say to his players, don't turn up expecting to win. Respect the game, respect the opponents, work for the points and earn the right to be able to play your game. And also he sent a message out to the fans as well. Don't just turn up seconds before the game expecting us to win. We need your support in this moment so that we can continue that culture of winning. And I think he was right to do that because it was a struggle against Southampton. 58 places between the 2 teams. Sorry, points, I should say, places.
That's a big Premier League.
Exclusive. 58 points between the 2 teams, but they really did turn up at Anfield. And if you consider Liverpool lost to Forest at Anfield, when everyone expected them to win earlier this season, I think he's right to describe it as a final. This is a crucial stage of the season.
I think there's confidence there, and luck's a factor as well in these things. I think things are going Liverpool's way. Slot probably didn't agree at the end of the match at Goodison, but they are. I mean, penalties, for example, 9 penalties Liverpool have had this season. That's more than Manchester City, Manchester United and Arsenal put together. Put together, they've had 7. So I think everything coming together, it's going to be a good week for Liverpool, I think.
Sometimes you need a little bit of luck, I think, in terms of getting things like the Premier League and the Champions League and maybe the Carabao Cup. Look, Jurgen Klopp has been speaking this week, and he is sometimes tongue-in-cheek, but I actually think he's quite serious about this. If they win, he says he's going to be there, not necessarily on the bus, but Jurgen Klopp will turn up, maybe as part of the cheering crowd. Is he right to? Is that the right thing to do?
I was fascinated by this one, because obviously he is much loved, and you know, there isn't anywhere that Jurgen Klopp would not be welcome at Anfield. But this is a fabulous first season for a man that many people felt would struggle to fill the boots of a legendary figure at Anfield.
Could you imagine us having this conversation in the summer?
Well, exactly. It just, you wouldn't have had it.
No.
And I just think this is Arne Slot's moment. He's earned it. He's managed the side superbly. He has demolished the opposition in the Premier League. He's arrived at a final in the Carabao Cup, and he has topped the Champions League stage table, and they're still in the game. In fact, they're leading against a PSG side that should have torn them apart because of his inspired substitution. You can't take the moment away from him. If Klopp turns up, everybody loves Klopp.
Yeah,
everybody loves him.
Fans love him, don't they?
So, I think he's got more self-awareness than to do that. We respect and love Klopp. He would not be welcome. But would you really want to take the moment and the attention away from the man who has done so brilliantly in his first season?
Do you think he would take the attention away if he turned up?
I think he would, yeah, because I think he's still a hero with the fans. He won, and he won a Premier League, don't forget, but he won it in COVID, so he didn't have the chance to celebrate his Premier League victory. So maybe, I'm sure that is a part of it, and it's a bit of free advertising for his drinks brand, isn't it?
I mean, isn't it?
You said that, not me.
Isn't there a kind of manager code where you just kind of, I'm gonna leave him to it.
I don't know.
And let him have his moment.
I don't know.
Would you turn up? Would you?
Oh, of course I would. No, I don't think I would. I don't think I would, but I want to.
I think the fans would like it. I think the fans would like it.
Yeah, I think they will. I think they'll forgive.
You'd love
and I
to,
think
but...
he will, because just, I don't know, it's like a big Liverpool loving. Anyway.